Welcome to Good Life. I'm Dean Wilson. So glad you've joined us from wherever you are all over the world. We welcome you. So many of you are finding us at goodlifetelevision.org, and we welcome you. All of these wonderful guests, you can find them all. I think we're at about 120 wonderful people, all walks of life, business people, entrepreneurs, public servants, overcomers, young people. It's been a great group, and you can find all the full form, the long form interviews there. You can also find what we call power clips, where we kind of break those interviews up into some of the great moments. We're also on all the social media platforms, and we're just delighted that you're here. We're here to talk about the good stuff. You can find a lot of the other stuff other places. We're here to talk about the good stuff. And that doesn't mean that suffering doesn't exist or problems don't happen. We are on planet Earth after all, but we're here to talk about the good stuff, whatever is noble and excellent and praiseworthy. So we're just so glad you're a part. I'm really excited about my guests today, at least one of them. Sorry, John.
I'm excited Reed's here too.
At least 50% of my guests, I'm really two great guys. Reed Spangler and John Davies are with me. You've seen John on the program previously. We had him on. We talked about leadership and culture. It was check out that interview if you haven't actually. But we're here today to talk with these two gentlemen about here in Santa Barbara, California, where we're sitting. The community prayer breakfast that has happened every year except last year for 63 years. 1958 it was founded. It's a phenomenal event, and it's happening September 30th here in Santa Barbara, California at the Hilton at 7:30 in the morning. So we want to talk about that. We want to talk about the breakfast itself, but I want to start with a little bit about the history. Reed, you've been around this a long time, I think 40 years or so.
Yes.
But talk about kind of the early involvement, and Jimmy Carter was here, and
absolutely, yes.
Talk a little bit about the history.
The Santa Barbara Community Prayer Breakfast is patterned after the National Prayer Breakfast. And sometime in the late 50s, the mayor of Santa Barbara went back to the National Prayer Breakfast in Washington, D.C. And he came back so excited that he called a friend, a fellow named Bill Alexander, and said, "Bill, can you put something like the National Prayer Breakfast together here in Santa Barbara?" And so Bill went to the Christian Businessmen's Committee and said, "Hey guys, we got a project here," and they started it in 1958 and have been having annual prayer breakfasts ever since. We've had speakers that range from Jimmy Carter, who came out here just I think a year or two before he was elected president.
Wow.
We've had CEOs, and we've had Olympians, gold medal Olympians as speakers. We've had teachers from a local school. We've had coaches. We just had just a great cross-section of speakers.
Wow.
But the main purpose of the event is really to get the Santa Barbara community together to pray for our community, for our state, for our nation and our world, and for the leaders.
Yes.
So that's the primary reason for our existence. And then we always invite a speaker to come and share just part of their spiritual journey and some of the lessons they've learned. And then we close the meeting generally with a prayer that includes an invitation to each and every person in the audience to take a step closer to God in their own spiritual journey.
So it's all, it can be any denomination, background. Whoever's watching this, they're welcome.
Absolutely right.
Yeah,
yes.
That's wonderful. And the speaker this year I've heard of, John Davies.
Yes. John
Davies is the president and CEO of Davies Public Affairs and various other entities. And John's been around a long time in this community. And John, you're on tap this year.
I am.
Give us a little sneak peek into what you're what your thoughts are.
Well, it's always an incredible honor, but it also is a little bit scary, to be up front and do something like that. And as Reed asked me, I think I told him so. Everyone else said no, and I've been to the National Prayer Breakfast a few times and watched a lot of them, so that's even more intimidating. So my thought is, this is the community prayer breakfast, and I want to talk about prayer. And the thought for me is I'm humbled by the prayer of my wife. She's a prayer warrior. And Dean, I know if I asked your wife or asked you who's the prayer warrior in your family, and we know who it is. And so I'm motivated to increase prayer in my life and be as much of a prayer warrior as my wife is and many others. And I want to share that motivation with others.
Yes. I was reading this morning and just thinking about this, and we were talking about this a little bit off air, but about prayer. And I once worked for an organization. There was a pastor named John Davies. He wrote this book called Why Pray? Yeah. And he says this. It says, prayer is a love relationship with God in which we present our needs and then live in exciting, trust-filled wonder in anticipation of the unexpected ways that God will work. And we were talking about this before. Sometimes prayer can get stale, or I think, okay, and maybe it's the thought that, well, I should be praying more, I should, or I need. Right. But this trust-filled prayer life that, and Reed, when we were talking about this earlier, I could see it all over your face when we were talking about just a fresh, trust-filled prayer life is so wonderful.
It absolutely is. Yeah.
I mean, it's the best way to live.
Yeah, absolutely. The more you pray, the more you see answers, and the more you see answers, the more you want to pray, and it's just, it's just so exciting when you lean into that.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's I've come to think that maybe the most wonderful thing you can say to another person, if you mean it, which I'm assuming you do, is I'll pray for you. And that can become a cliche, but I mean, imagine.
It's become a cliche, but it's also become an uncliche. If you notice that people that are afraid to be identified as Christians now say, I'll keep you in my heart. Right. I'll send you good thoughts. And I want you praying for me.
That's a great point.
My wife's brother-in-law has just been diagnosed with a non-terminal but a very painful, they actually call the disease the suicide disease. It is so painful. And so we're praying for him. And I asked them if they've gone to the elders of their church and asked for prayer. And they're like, well, I don't know. We've been watching online. And so I said, can I? So I emailed the elders in their church, a huge church outside of Houston called Cowboy Church, and got an incredible reply and phone call from one of the leaders of the church. And they're going by the house with a group of their elders and pastors, and they're going to anoint and they're going to pray over him for healing. And the thing is I was talking to the woman on the phone about it. I go, it's always amazing that when we do these type of prayers, and then we're shocked that it happens. That right. Prayer works.
Yes.
And it's always like, it works so often that it's pretty shocking.
Yes,
that we don't expect it to happen.
Yeah. I've been stunned in my life at some of the specific answers, or non-answers, if you will, where it was like, okay, he sees the whole picture, but just the honor of saying, of praying for another person, of saying, I've got a meeting with the creator of the universe this afternoon, and I'd like to bring you up. I'd like to talk. Thank you. I mean, talk about a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
a really big deal, and it's powerful. So in Acts 12, in verse 5, there is an incredibly powerful word, and the word is "but." And the verse reads, "Peter was therefore kept in prison, but constant prayer was offered to God for him by the church." you think about the moment. It's a desperate moment. It looks though Peter's going to die. It looks as though the fledgling church is going to end. But that it's all coming to an end. And, so it's a model how to pray.
Yeah.
It was a fervent prayer.
Yes.
It was a focused prayer. It was an earnest prayer.
Yes.
And it was a family prayer. And you think about what happened. We know what happened.
Yeah.
And so, that's what we're looking for, I think, in our lives, is that type of prayer.
Yes.
That type of powerful prayer. And, when Jesus modeled prayer with the Lord's Prayer and when he prayed in the garden, the prayers weren't these grandiose, beautiful, thoughtful prayers. They were a child's prayer. And very childlike.
Yeah.
And very, the prayer in the garden was 27 words. Think about that. One of the most powerful
really
prayers. Yeah.
Yeah. And the power of corporate prayer. Talk about that, because here we are talking about a community prayer gathering, ecumenical kind of, whatever background you are, denomination, no faith at all, everybody's welcome. What's the power? Because I think it's a unifying thing in a community to gather. Would you say?
I agree, absolutely. I think all we need to do is look up and look around Santa Barbara and know that God has blessed this community. And I'm convinced that 62 years of praying have had a result. And I can't point to a specific, we were going this way and all of a sudden things went the right direction.
Right.
It's hard to pin that down, but I know there's a power in corporate prayer, and Jesus said that where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I'll be there.
Right.
I am there.
See, he wants us together.
Yeah, he does.
Because he could have just said, pray and I'll be there, which he is.
Well,
but he specifically said 2 or 3.
Yeah. He wants a relationship.
Yeah.
And you can't have a relationship unless you're talking. And
I found that.
Yeah. We've heard reports, but it's amazing that that's what it is.
Yeah.
God wants a relationship with us. He wants us to do good things. He wants us to be out there producing fruit in His name for His glory. Yeah. The story is pretty simple, and we start by praying for one another.
Yes.
It's like we take our dreams and our wishes and our desires, and we pray to Him. And if they're the right plan, He'll honor them.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Or in His timing, it'll be better.
Exactly.
You've mentioned you've walked with Him a long time, and I'm sure you've seen that over time, that, man, He knew the whole picture.
He knew the whole picture.
I was here, He was here. What I wanted at the time didn't exactly happen, but man, am I glad.
Absolutely.
Isn't that amazing?
Oh, it is amazing. Early on, I said, God, show me the plan, and I'm sure that with your brains and my brawn, we can accomplish anything. And He never did show me the plan like that.
Right.
Yeah. But he showed me that if I get up every day and meet with Him and talk with Him, He'll direct my steps that day.
Yeah.
And
That's
been great.
Yeah, so good. He can really be trusted.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just such a truth.
Yeah.
And such a simple truth when you think about it.
Yeah.
And we serve and love a God who loves us. He's a God of love. The 2 greatest commandments, when He was asked, He basically said, please love me back. Love me with all your heart, your soul, your mind, and your strength, and love one another. That's His deal. So I just that realization always blows me away.
Yeah.
And just the idea. I remember as a kid growing up in this little church in upstate New York, and a Catholic church, and the crucifix was in the front of the church. As a kid, you're looking up, and it's like, wow, that's pretty gruesome. There, as you see the nails, they have like red and blood on there, and I kept thinking, if He's God, why didn't He just get off there? He can pop those nails off.
Right.
Why can't He just pop the nails off?
Yeah.
And as I grew in my faith, and the realization hits me is that the nails didn't keep Him on the cross. It was His love for us.
Yeah.
That's what kept him on the cross. Which, but as a kid, it's like, wait a minute. If this guy's God, how come what happened to him when he got to the cross and they put the nails in? Did he lose being God?
Yeah.
No, that's not why he stayed there.
Right. Oh, that's so good, John. So good. Yeah, and I had a guest here a few weeks ago. He goes, like you, he's walked with God for a long time, and I asked him, what is it you like about God? And I was expecting some, kind of profound theological statement or something. He says, I like that he likes me. He doesn't just love us, like, because sometimes I think, well, what prayer, is he up there going, is Wilson again? Can we figure this out at some point? Is Wilson again?
This is the 5th time you've asked me about that.
Right.
I've told you 5 times.
Right. I said
Go do
times.
what I said.
Right. Yes. But his posture towards us is he doesn't just love us. He likes us. Like, he made me. Like, he did it. He made you. I mean, it's what a wonderful
Tim
God.
Keller has this great quote, and I'm going to blow it because I haven't thought about it in a while, but it's about being known and loved.
Yes.
And so it's one of our
fear is being known and not loved.
Right, but his deal is that if to be loved but not known is really nice, but it's not fulfilling.
Yeah.
To be known and not loved is our greatest fear.
Yes.
But to be 100% known and 100% loved is the greatest joy you can have.
Yeah.
And that's a relationship we have with Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That he knows us 100%. He knows everything that no one else knows about us, and he still loves us. Yeah. And he is patient and polite and waits on us. He waits for us.
Yeah. Yeah. He's bringing the noise. I didn't know he had it in him.
Yeah.
You better save some of this.
Okay, I'm done.
You're the keynote.
Yeah.
No.
How many minutes do I have?
No, you just get
6 minutes. Well, I don't know if you guys ever watched. One of my favorite prayer breakfasts, and just blew me away, was Bono at the National Prayer Breakfast.
Oh my gosh.
And so I watched it, and I wish I could have gone to that one. I saw James Baker, who was the Secretary of State, James Baker, and I saw Billy Graham at the National Prayer Breakfast. So 2 amazing people to be there. And so I watched Bono, and Bono started off, he goes, so I don't know why I'm here. He goes, it's like, this is a place for a man of the cloth. And unless the cloth is leather, there's no reason for me to be here. And what he gave that day was so powerful. It was basically that just because of the longitude and latitude of where you were born should not define your life. And we who were born in more gifted longitude and latitude need to help those who were born in others. I mean, and that speech.
You remembered it.
Oh, it's a book. That was published as a book.
Oh,
very, very powerful.
Wow.
And then obviously Eric Matexas and Ben Carson, and you keep going through the group.
Yeah.
So I mean, if people are looking for it, looking to find some of those National Prayer Breakfasts, it's a great thing to look at.
Yeah, you can YouTube it.
Yeah.
National Prayer Breakfast on YouTube. You can find. They go back 63 years. My dad's sitting over here. He took me. I remember. Somehow through security, I made it through with that little camera. Do you remember? Yeah. Ronald Reagan was president. I stood up. I'm like 10. I stood up to take a picture. I don't think you could do that anymore. But I'll never forget that. But we went to those National Prayer Breakfasts. It was meaningful. And
there's a lot of big hair there. I'm just saying.
A lot of big hair.
Yeah, because my tickets were always way in the back. And there was a lot of Texas hair there.
Texas, right.
You had to dodge your chair around the room to try to find a place
where you could see.
Where you get over the big hair.
So here is an opportunity to unite. Here's an opportunity to pray. Here's an opportunity to be together in fellowship, and in this COVID era where we haven't done much of that. It's September 30th, we're talking about the Community Prayer Breakfast here in Santa Barbara, California. September 30th at the Hilton, 7:30 a.m. John Davies is the keynote, and I'm with Reed Spangler and John, and I'm excited.
Yeah, so much.
Yeah, so any other details I'm leaving out?
Well, if anybody is interested in becoming a sponsor,
yes,
they can go to SantaBarbaraPrayerBreakfast.org. We've got the website there. It'll give details on how to become a sponsor, how to purchase a table of 10,
yes,
10 seats that is, and invite your friends. this is an opportunity for the whole community to come together and pray to address, you know, serious problems that we're facing,
Yeah.
and just ask for, you know, reconciliation and
Yes.
help and health and just whatever
I love it.
we need. And so
Love it.
check out the Santa Barbara Prayer Breakfast.org.
.org, and the Christian Businessmen's group is involved in the planning of this. We wanted to mention that. But yeah, I'd encourage you to look at sponsorship opportunities, tickets, bring a friend. Again, this is apolitical, all religious, all denominational, religious background, no faith at all, whatever it is. It'll be an uplifting, wonderful time. I can
if you
tell you.
can't afford a ticket,
Yeah.
let us know that also, and we'll get you there.
Yes. If you can't afford a ticket, let this group know, and we'll be talking about this. We'll be pushing these clips out on Good Life TV and getting the word out. So, thank you for your years of involvement with this, and John, we'll be praying for you.
Thank
as you bring the word.
please.
Yeah, it'll be wonderful. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you.
We'll see you next time.